Hello everyone and welcome back. In today's video, we will learn how to add shadows. CSS provides us with two options to add shadows, one for text and second for all other HTML elements. First, let's talk about how to add shadows to text. For this, we can use the text shadow property. Let's try an example to understand it better. Let's bring up our code editor. Let's say this is the text we've got, HTML5 course. Let's add some stylings. So let's add the text shadow property. So text shadow, and it requires two values, one for horizontal shadow and another for vertical shadow. So let's say 4 pixels by 4 pixels. Let's save it. As you can see, the text and the shadow have the same color, but we can change the color of the shadow. So let's try that. So to add color, we can simply add another value here, say gray. Let's save it. And now as you can see, we've got a gray colored shadow. But it doesn't look very much like a shadow. It looks more like a reflection of our text. It looks very sharp. So let's add some blur. To add blur, we can add another value here, say 2 pixels. Let's save it. And as you can see, that shadow looks a bit blurry now. Let's increase this value, say 4 pixels. And now as you can see, it looks more blurry. Let's increase it to say 10 pixels. And now as you can see, it's so blurry that we can't even tell what's written in that shadow. So the higher this value, the more blurry the shadow. We can add multiple shadows as well. So let's try that. Let's just comment this. All right, so let's give it a text shadow property. Let's say 2 pixels horizontal, 2 pixels vertical, 2 pixels blurry, and let's say the color is red. Let's save it. And now as you can see, we've got this red shadow. Now to add another shadow, we can simply use a comma and give values for the next shadow as well. So let's say 2 pixels, 2 pixels, and 2 pixels blurred. Let's say the color is green. Let's save it. And as you can see, the green color isn't very much visible. So let's bring it down. So for that, we can just increase this value. Let's save it. Still not very much visible. Let's increase it a bit more. And now as you can see, all these three colors are visible. That's all for text shadow, guys. Now let's talk about how to add shadows to HTML elements. For that, we have another property called box shadow. This property adds a shadow to the HTML elements box. Let's try an example to understand it better. Let's just comment this. Let's add some more styles, say width 300 pixels, height 400 pixels. Let's give it a border radius 4 pixels, and let's give it a background color, say white. Let's save it. And as you can see, we've got this card sort of a structure here. Now let's try using this box shadow property. So box shadow. So just like text shadow, even this box shadow property accepts the horizontal shadow value and the vertical shadow value. Let's save it. And as you can see, we've got this blue shadow around our box or card. Let's try changing the color, say gray. And as you can see, now the shadow is turned to gray. Similarly, to add a blur to it, we can give it a value, say 4 pixels. And as you can see, now the shadow looks a little blurry. If you want the shadow more to come down, so we could say probably 4 pixels. And now the shadow is more on the bottom. And let's say we don't want it on the right, so we could simply do this 0. And as you can see, we've got the shadow around our cards. And the shadow makes our card looks a bit elevated. Similarly, let's try adding a shadow to our top bar. So coming up here, let's give it a box shadow property. So box shadow, and let's give it some values. Say 0 pixels, 2 pixels, say 10 pixels, and let's give it a color, say 888. Let's save it. And as you can see, we've got the shadow coming down from our top bar. It's a bit much, so let's reduce the blur. Let's say 5 pixels, and looks much better now. That's all for today, guys. If there's something that you did not understand, feel free to drop a comment and we will discuss it. See you in the next video. Bye and take care.